Hello all, welcome to a new Silly Point episode. As always, I've got Zahid here with me, and today we're going to preview the Sri Lanka and England Test series. A small setback for England with Moeen Ali out with COVID-19, but I think they're well stocked in the spin department this time around, like they were the last time they went to Sri Lanka. So I think England will do fine.
That didn't
Sri
sound
Lanka,
right. That didn't sound right. England well stocked in the spin department.
surprisingly, and both those spinners come from the same county.
Yeah.
So clearly that tells you that it's all about the pitches they prepare. And Sri Lanka obviously have been ravaged by injuries, when they played last in South Africa. So although they've announced the squad, no one really knows whether
Yeah.
some of the players that were injured will be fit or not. So
Yeah.
we discuss all of that in this episode. We can kick off with the starting 11s. So Zaid, who do you think we should start with?
I think let's go with England because it'll be easier. Sri Lanka, like you
Easier,
mentioned,
yeah,
with their injury issues, might be
yeah,
a bit of a lottery who we go
fair
with.
enough. Fair enough. So, in terms of the opening partnership, so Dom Sibley will obviously open. Um, Rory Burns would have opened, but
Yeah.
he's on paternity leave.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Zach Crawley to open
Zach
with Dom
Crowley.
Sibley. Yeah, yeah. So Zach Crawley is going to get pushed up to opening.
Yeah. But he is an opener, right? Or is
Well,
he?
he's kind of a top order batsman. I think he says that he prefers to bat at three. I
Yeah.
think which is where he scored most of his runs for Kent and for England. But yeah, given the situation that England are in, he's going to
Yeah.
open.
Yeah. I
He's
mean,
going to open.
the other option is Bracey again, who's in the standby squad, right? He's not in the main
Yeah,
squad.
yeah, he's on the main squad. But yeah, I guess they've got enough cover, right? Because then they can
Yeah.
play what's his name, Johnny Besto at number three.
Yeah. They have a
Last
lot of
time,
flexibility in their batting. I
yeah,
think that's.
exactly. Last time Johnny Besto batted at three in Sri Lanka, he scored 145. So
Yeah.
great replacement.
Yeah, although it's his test form, I mean, he's not being playing test cricket for a while, but yeah, I think
Yeah, yeah.
he'll get a chance at three, obviously four.
Four will be Root. Yeah,
Yeah,
captain. Um, Obviously, number
Ben
five would have
Stokes.
been Ben Stokes, but he's been rested.
Yeah,
So they've got other options, and the most likely person to bat at number five is Dan Lawrence.
oh really?
Yeah, Dan Lawrence. He's 23 years
Yeah,
old, middle order bat from Essex, and he's a handy off spin bowler as well. So I think it's
yeah,
going to be Dan Lawrence batting at five.
at five. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, right. Number six is a
Ollie
bit of a question mark, but I
Ollie Pope.
guess Ollie Pope is actually not in the squad.
Oh, he's not in the squad. Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's not in the squad because he was injured.
yeah,
Yeah, so Ollie Pope is not in the squad. So I guess their only option is then to play Sam Curran because he's the
yeah,
only fit all rounder in the squad. Because
yeah,
Chris Wokes also is under isolation, and we don't know whether
yeah,
he'll be able to play or not. He might not
yeah,
be match fit in time.
yeah.
So then you've got Sam Curran at six and Joss Butler at seven.
Those Butler seven. So they're gonna play Bairstow and Butler, I guess. So
Both best and
yeah,
Butler, but Butler will be the keeper.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
And then beyond that, you've got four spots for your four bowlers.
Yeah,
And I think out of those, you're going to have two spinners. So you're going to
yeah,
have Dom Bess at eight and
yeah,
Jack Leach at nine.
yeah,
Um, and then you've got to pick two medium pacers. And that's a tough question. That's a tough selection for England.
yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are. I know what I'd go with, but I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
I mean, you have to go with Broad and Anderson, right?
Both of them. Okay. I was going to say
I
that
mean,
they can rotate between Broad and Anderson. So to start off with, I'd start with Broad because the scintillating form
yeah,
he's been in the English summer last year. So I'd probably start with Broad, and then the other bowler would have been Jofra Archer, but again Jofra Archer has
yeah,
been rested from the squad. The other bowler is the fast bowler. So you've got
yeah.
either Mark Wood or Ollie Stone, and I
Oliver
would go
Stone,
with
yeah.
Mark Wood.
Yeah, I think in a way, the the isolation of Chris Wokes is a blessing in disguise because that makes their selection slightly easier because then they
Yeah,
will go with two spinners.
yeah.
Otherwise, they would have had to pick Wokes as well, given the form that he's been in.
Well, then
Um,
there would be a toss
then
up
they probably
between
drops. Then they probably would have. Yeah, exactly.
Sam Curran and Wokes,
So,
right? Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, they are spoiled for choice, even with all these injuries we've discussed with
yeah,
Ben Stokes and out as well.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. I think England. I think they missed a trick in the summer as well. I think they didn't play Broad and Anderson together any of the test matches, or I think there was one or two test matches. But I think
Yeah, I
they've
think they did. They learnt eventually, but to start off
eventually,
with, they said we'll only play one each.
yeah, yeah. So
I mean,
I'd
yeah,
still go with those two. I mean, Mark Wood, yes, how important is pace in Sri Lanka, where the ball there will be flat spinning tracks. How useful is that? It might be easier for the batsman to play someone with more pace.
yeah,
The ball will come onto the bat, so it might help the run scoring.
okay,
Whereas Broad and Anderson, because their job will be to similar to what a spinner's job is in England,
yeah,
to kind of hold up the end and keep the runner down when the spinners will come in and attack and
yeah.
take the wicket, especially in the third and fourth innings.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
think
why
that's fair. I
I'd
mean,
go
you
there.
could go any way with England's bowling because because Broad, you have Broad and Anderson, you can pick so many options. The only thing is you then have Broad, Anderson, and Sam Curran, who are
Yeah.
all kind of medium pace. But then if you pick one between Anderson and Broad, you get someone with extra pace. You could even pick Ollie Stone, and that'll be okay.
I mean, yeah, they have the option. I'd still go with Broad and Anderson
Broad
as the
Anderson.
base
That's
case.
fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's a pretty strong. That's a pretty strong
Yeah.
starting 11, and they've got lots of like backup players. They've even got like lots of spin standby players. So in case anything happens
Yeah.
to the spinners, they've got Mason Crane,
Yeah.
who's a young leg spinner. They've got Amar Virdi, who's an off spinner, and they've also got Matt Parkinson, who's another leg spinner from Lancashire. So
Yeah.
lots of options there.
Yeah, I think the middle order is slightly weak,
I
with
agree.
Sam Curran at 6 and Lawrence potentially at 5.
Yeah,
Obviously, we would have had Ollie Pope and Ben Stokes, so
yeah, yeah,
that's a bit of a step down, but
yeah,
it's a good
yeah.
opportunity for them to play in foreign conditions. So
They've also got
let's
Ben
see.
Fowkes. So
Yeah,
they could play Ben Fowkes as a specialist batsman, given that he was the highest run scorer in Sri Lanka
yeah.
the last time
Or
England
play,
played.
play play Butler as a specialist batsman and Ben Fox as a keeper.
I don't think they'll do that because I think they've figured that Butler is their first choice keeper across
Yeah.
formats. So I don't think they'll change that, just willy nilly, just
It's
to do
similar to the Saha Pant debate, right? I mean, you were the better keeper versus the better batsman,
better
but
batsmen.
anyways.
I agree. Fair enough. Moving on to Sri Lanka, which is probably a tougher selection.
The Sri Lankan team, it's your specialty. You seem to know their squad better than anyone else that I know.
Fair enough. So I mean, I guess the
They've had a
opening
tough tour. I mean, they weren't that bad in South Africa. They had a very good start, and then they just fell
they
apart. I
fell.
think the
I mean, you
bowling was
can't really blame them. They lost like 5, 6 players to injury, right? They
yeah. In the
lost
first test match, they had like three injured players.
exactly. I think Mickey Arthur, who's their coach, he was like, "Oh, if we lose one more player, I'll have to go out and field." And Grant
Yeah,
Fly is the batting coach; he'll have to bat at 4.
yeah,
So that's how bad a situation they were in.
yeah.
But apart from that, I think they still got
Decent.
players, good enough players. Yeah, they
Yeah.
still got good enough players. Had there not been those injuries, things might have been slightly different,
No,
maybe. But I guess to open, it'll be
I mean, yeah,
Dimuth Karunaratne to open as captain, and then his opening partner, provided he has recovered from injury, should
yeah,
be Oshada Fernando,
yeah.
who's a youngish player, but I think he's done pretty well in test matches. So had he not been injured, he would have actually opened in Sri Lanka, in South Africa. Sorry,
In South Africa,
yeah. So you've got them opening, and then you've got Kushal
yeah,
Janit Pereira at number 3
yeah. Three.
in a
The
in a kind of
explosive.
Sana Jayasurya role at number 3. Um, then I think at number 4 you'll have Kushal Mendes,
Yeah,
who's again a very talented youngster. Scored a lot of runs, especially in Sri Lanka, and against big teams as well, England, Australia. So number 4 will be Kushal Mendes. Um, and then you've got number 5 and 6, right? So one of them will be Dinesh Chandimal.
yeah.
Again, I think he was injured, if I'm not wrong, in South Africa. So hopefully he's recovered,
If he is
so
back,
he
yeah,
can play. Um, and then I guess number 6, you would normally have Angelo Matthews, but Angelo Matthews is no, he's in the squad. I lie, he's in the squad. He was injured
he's
for South
fit.
Africa, so I think he's fit. So then obviously he should bat at 6. There's no question about that, right?
Yeah, but there, who was it? Was it Dhananjay De Silva? Or who was it who got injured in the? He was playing very well, and he
Very
got
well, yeah.
70 odd, right?
That was Dhananjay De Silva. That was
Yeah.
Dhananjay
So,
De Silva.
but
Yeah.
is he fit? He might play at 6 then, if he's fit.
If he's
But if
fit,
Matthews is fit, obviously Matthews will play. So
sorry.
if Matthews is fit, then Matthews will play, right? So
If Matthews is fit, then he'll play. But if Dhananjay De Silva is fit, I think he's in the squad, right? He's
yeah,
in the squad. So if he's fit, he will play. Then in that case, you know, the opener Oshada Fernando drops out, and then Kushal
Yeah.
Pereira opens with
Yeah.
Kushal Mendes at 3, Chandimal at 4,
Yeah.
Matthews at 5, and Dhananjay De Silva at
Maybe.
6. Obviously, that is basically their full strength 11,
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
strength, sorry, batting, right? And then you get Niroshan Dikwela at 7 and
At
keeper.
7. Yeah. And keeper. Yeah.
So that would be a good strong
Yeah.
starting batting lineup. And then in terms of the bowlers, again, I think Sri Lanka should pick two spinners.
Yeah.
So
I
you've
mean,
got
that's what they'll do.
yeah, you've got Venindu Hasaranga, who's a leg
Yeah.
spinner, and he's a good batsman as well.
Yeah.
And you've got Lasith Mbuldinia, who's a slow left-arm bowler. Again, he's very young, 24 years of age. So you've got these
Yeah.
two spinners. Um,
Yeah.
and then again, in terms of the medium pacers, you have to go with Suranga Lakmal, who's
Akmal.
also
Yeah.
injured in South Africa, but I think
Yeah.
he'll be fit now. So Suranga Lakmal is your experienced seamer.
Yeah.
And then the other option, I mean, the other bowler is anyone's guess. I mean, they've got lots of options. They've
Yeah.
got
I think.
Ashraf. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say maybe Shanaka is probably the,
Yeah, I guess
but he's more
Shanaka.
of a wide ball player. I'm not sure has he played a lot of Test cricket.
No, he's not played much Test cricket, but obviously he
Yeah.
was in the Test squad. But I don't
Yeah.
think there's space for him in there's I don't think there's space for him in the how do you call it in the starting 11,
Yeah.
especially in Sri Lanka. He played
Yeah.
in South Africa because they needed a seam bowling all rounder.
Yeah.
So Dasun Shanaka fit that
Yeah.
that role. But yeah, so I mean in terms of the other medium pacer, lots of options. There's Kasun Rajita, there's
Yeah.
Dilshan Madhushanka, there's
Yeah.
Lahiru Kumara, oof,
Any
there's
of
Vishnu
them.
Fernando,
But
Asitaf
wouldn't you have sorry, the spinners? Wouldn't Pereira be a spin option?
Dilruvan Pereira. He's
Yeah.
38 years old, and
He's
I don't think,
38.
yeah, I don't think he's played. He's a good spinner. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. He might get a chance in Sri Lanka, but I don't think so. I think they've moved on from him. He's in the squad, but I
Yeah.
think they moved on from him.
So who's your last pick then
I
for the
don't know.
seam bowling option?
Let's go with Kasun Rajita. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
He didn't play in South Africa because again I think he was injured,
He's injured.
so
Yeah.
he didn't play in South Africa. But I think he'll be the other medium pacer along with Suranga Lakmal.
Yeah.
So there's your Sri Lanka 11. Hopefully I've got it
Oh.
right.
Key players.
Key players, I think for England, Johnny Bairstow. Um, every time Johnny Bairstow gets into a team,
Yeah.
he's dropped and gets back into a team. He has a point to prove.
Yeah.
So I think he'll do well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look forward to that.
And in Sri Lanka, I think it's difficult to look past Angelo Matthews.
He says he doesn't bowl anymore, right? He's only going to be a specialist
Well, I
batsman.
think I think he's now said that if he comes back in the team, he will come back as an all-rounder. So he
Okay.
might bowl like 10 overs every day in a test
Yeah.
match, which is helpful for Sri Lanka because then they have like four bowlers, and they've got two all-rounders in Matthews
Yeah.
and Dhananjay De Silva. So
Yeah. For me, I'm looking forward to Dom Bess, a spinner in spinning conditions. Looking forward to see how he plays.
yeah,
I mean, he's always been the supporting cast to the seam bowlers in England.
yeah,
So he'll have to be take more of a lead role. So it'll be good to see how he performs.
yeah,
And for Sri Lanka, looking forward to Kusal Pereira. I mean, he on his day, he could score a 150 and take the game away from you, chase 300 in the fourth innings. So if he gets going, I mean, similar mold to someone like a David Warner, you can say, who if he gets
yeah.
going, or in a session,
Difficult to stop.
he,
Yeah,
he can take the game away from you. So it'll be
yeah,
good to see him
yeah.
and see how he performs. Predictions?
1-1.
Neutral sitting on the fence.
Neutral sitting on the fence. Well, it's very difficult to say, right? I mean, Sri Lanka coming off massive loss against South
Yeah,
Africa, so they're going to be low on confidence. England haven't played much
yeah,
since August last year, so they're going to be rusty. So anyone's guess during these pandemic times.
yeah. I mean, that's the problem. 1-1 is a very simple better way. I mean, just to be different, I'll say England 2-0. But 2-0 just sounds like a whitewash, right? Also, it's literally. I think it's going to be a close series in the sense that it will be a close game.
Yeah,
But I think England are on paper also slightly stronger. I mean, Sri Lanka with all the injury issues and Matthews coming back after a long time, can they really sustain it? I'm not sure.
yeah,
They'll have their moments, but I think overall England are stronger, and they'll probably the first test might be close. The second test thing, once England have understood the conditions and are more
Yeah,
settled,
yeah.
they'll probably dominate the series. So 2-0 to England for me.
Fair enough. So 1-1 versus 2-0 to England. Let's see how the series progresses. That's our episode. I hope you enjoyed that. And as always, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you on another Silly Point episode. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.